The scent of hibiscus oil and burning sage wafted through the glossy doors of the Velvet Mane, Lagos's most elite hair salon. Politicians' wives, Nollywood stars, and socialites waited weeks, sometimes months, for an appointment with the mysterious owner, Miss Temi Aduki. Her fingers were legendary. Every client left glowing, transformed not just in beauty, but in fortune. Promotions followed, marriages bloomed, enemies disappeared, but no one ever asked how she did it. Temi moved like water, her presence both calming and commanding. Her clients adored her, yet none truly knew her. Not where she lived, not her real age, not her past. What they knew was this: once she laid her hands on your scalp, something inside you shifted. Late that evening, after the last client left, Temi stood alone before the full-length mirror in her private suite. In the reflection, her face flickered. Not old, but ancient. Her hands glowed faintly as she unbraided her own hair, revealing runes carved in scalp-deep scars. In her whispering voice, she chanted in a forgotten tongue, binding strands of hair clipped from that day's clients into a black velvet pouch. She placed it on her altar, beside a bowl filled with rainwater and ashes. "Another day," she murmured, eyes glowing faintly gold. "Another offering." The spirits had been kind to her, but spirits always demanded more. The next morning the salon opened at 9 a.m. sharp. The floors were clean, the mirrors shining, and soft music played in the background. Women in designer clothes stepped out of their black SUVs and walked in, heels clicking. Everyone smiled, but they were all here for one reason: Temi Aduki. Temi welcomed each client with a warm smile. Her voice was soft and smooth like honey. "You'll look beautiful today," she always said, and somehow her words felt like a promise. Her first client was Mrs. Olowu, a senator's wife. She sat in Temi's chair, talking about her husband's problems. Temi nodded politely, brushing her thick, natural hair gently. As she worked, her fingers moved in slow, careful patterns, not just to style, but to weave something invisible. With each braid, she whispered small words under her breath, words the client could not hear. By the time she was done, Mrs. Olowu looked years younger. Her skin glowed, her voice was lighter. "I feel like a new woman," she said, looking in the mirror. Temi only smiled. "You are." But behind her calm eyes, Temi was thinking about the strands of hair left in the comb. She would collect them later, before anyone saw. Because in her world, hair was not just hair. Hair held energy. Hair held secrets. And with enough of it, you could control anything. Later that day, a new client walked into the Velvet Mane. She was not rich or famous. Her clothes were simple and her shoes were worn. Her name was Sade, and she had won a free makeover from an online giveaway. It was rare for someone like her to enter such a place, but Temi allowed it. Sade sat quietly in the chair, eyes wide. She had never seen anything so fancy. The mirrors were huge, the lights soft and golden, and everything smelled sweet, like flowers and incense. Temi looked at her with interest. Sade was different. Her spirit felt strange, strong. "What do you do?" Temi asked as she combed through Sade's thick hair. "I help my aunt sell herbs in the market," Sade replied. Temi paused for just a second. Herbs. That meant roots, leaves, old knowledge. People like that sometimes knew things. As she worked, Temi tried to weave her usual whisper spells into Sade's braids. But something pushed back. It felt like wind blowing against her hands. Her fingers tingled. She looked closer and saw a small scar at the back of Sade's neck. It was shaped like a crescent moon. "Where did you get this?" Temi asked. "I was born with it," Sade said, shrugging. Temi didn't smile this time. When the girl left, Temi stood very still, staring at the hair left behind in her comb. The strands shimmered faintly, like they were alive. She had touched many heads, collected hundreds of souls. But this one This one might be different. This one might be dangerous. Temmie locked the salon late at night, long after her staff had gone home. She walked into her private ritual room behind a fake wall in her office. The room was dark except for the red candles that floated in the air. Strange symbols were painted on the floor. In the center sat a silver bowl filled with oil, ashes, and pieces of hair from different clients. She reached into her pouch and pulled out the strands of Sade's hair. They looked normal, but Temmie could feel something strange, like the hair was watching her. She dropped the strands into the silver bowl, lit a match, and whispered a charm. The other hair samples always caught fire easily, but this one refused to burn. Instead, the flames hissed and died. Smoke curled upward, forming the shape of a face. Not Sadie's, but something older. A woman with white eyes and a scar on her neck. The spirit didn't speak. It only stared at Temmie, and then the bowl cracked loudly. Temmie jumped back. That had never happened before. She poured water over the bowl, heart beating fast. What kind of power was hiding inside that girl's hair? No one had ever resisted her magic, not even the wives of generals. But Sade had. And her scar? That couldn't be normal. Temmie sat down, thinking hard. She needed answers. She would have to go to someone who understood deeper things. Someone older than even the spirits she worked with. The girl from the market wasn't just lucky. She was marked. And if Temmie wasn't careful, her own magic might turn against her. The next day, Temmie opened the salon like nothing had happened. Her smile was still calm, her voice still sweet. But inside, she was full of questions. Who was that spirit in the smoke? Why did it appear only when Sade's hair touched fire? And what did the scar on that girl's neck really mean? Temmie looked into one of the salon mirrors while adjusting her earrings. For a second, her reflection didn't move. It just stared back at her, eyes empty and cold. She blinked. The reflection blinked after. Her hands tightened around the counter. Sade was not just special, she was dangerous. And if Temmie didn't act soon, her secret might be exposed. No one had ever known what she really did with her client's hair. No one had ever felt the spirits fight back. Until now. Later that evening, Sade came again. She had been invited back for a follow-up treatment. Temmie greeted her kindly, but her eyes watched every movement. "How have you been feeling since the last time?" Temmie asked while combing her hair. "Strange," Sade admitted. "Sometimes I see flashes in my dreams. A woman with white eyes. And fire, always fire." Temmie smiled, but her heart raced. The same woman, the same eyes. She needed to know more. But Sade could not find out anything. Temmie looked into the mirror again. This time, there was no reflection at all. Only darkness. After Sade left the salon, Temmie locked the doors early. Her hands were shaking, though she tried not to show it. That spirit in the mirror, the woman with the white eyes, was appearing too often now. And Sade? She was seeing her too. Temmie went back into her hidden ritual room. But this time she didn't stop there. She opened a trapdoor beneath the rug and climbed down into a narrow staircase lit by dim red bulbs. At the bottom was a secret shrine, older than the salon itself. The walls were covered in black symbols, drawn with charcoal and blood. This was where her true power lived. She lit incense and knelt before a statue carved from stone. It was the figure of a woman with no eyes and hair, made from twisted iron wires. The air in the shrine was heavy and hot. "Oh, great mother," Temmie whispered, bowing low, "I have served you well. I have fed you hair, power, and blood. But now something has entered my circle. A girl marked by something I do not know. I need your guidance." For a moment there was silence. Then the candles flickered, and the statue's head turned slightly. A voice filled the room, old and deep. "The girl is not yours. She belongs to another." Temmie's heart dropped. "Who?" But the voice said only one word. "Return." Then everything went still again. Temmie sat frozen. The spirit had never spoken so clearly before. Sade wasn't just marked, she was claimed. And if Temmie didn't return what she had taken, something much older was coming to collect. Temmie couldn't sleep that night. She sat on her bed, thinking about the word the spirit had spoken. Return. Return what? The hair. The magic, or Sade herself. The next morning she went to the market. Not to shop, but to find someone she hadn't seen in years. Mama Mario, an old priestess who had once warned Temmie never to mix beauty with spirits. Temmie had ignored her then. Now she needed her help. Mama Mario sat under a red umbrella, selling herbs and bitter cola. Her eyes were white with age, but she still saw things others couldn't. I need answers, Temmie said quietly. The old woman sniffed the air. Something follows you, something you shouldn't have touched. Temmie nodded. A girl came. I touched her hair. Now my shrine speaks to me in riddles. Mama Mario leaned closer. Did she have a mark? Like a moon? Temmie's face went cold. Yes, the old woman sighed deeply. You've touched the bloodline of the old river priestesses. Her spirit is protected. That girl is not meant for your hands. Temmie swallowed. What do I do? Mama Mario stared hard. You must return what you took before the river spirits come for it themselves. Temmie nodded slowly, but in her heart she wasn't sure if she could, or if she still had time. That night, Sade had another dream. She stood at the edge of a dark river, fog swirling around her feet. A woman with silver eyes stood waist-deep in the water, holding a golden comb. Come, the woman said. Sade took a step forward. Behind her, shadows whispered, Your crown was stolen. Sade looked into the river. Her reflection was not her own. It wore beads and a white wrapper, glowing like moonlight. She gasped. She woke up drenched in sweat. The next morning, she returned to the salon. Temmie was waiting. Temmie led Sade into the back room without a word. The air felt heavy, thick with smoke and silence. Sade sat in the chair, unsure why she had come back, but her heart told her it was right. Temmie placed her hands on Sade's head. No magic this time, no chanting, just silence. I took something from you, Temmie said. Sade blinked. What do you mean? I used your hair. I tried to use your power. Sade didn't speak, but her eyes grew sharper, older. Temmie knelt before her and placed the black velvet pouch, the one that held Sade's hair, into her hands. I return it. The candles flickered wildly. A strong wind blew through the room, though no windows were open. Sade stood up, holding the pouch. You didn't steal it, she said calmly. You awoke it. Behind her, the mirror cracked down the middle. The next morning, the velvet mane was closed. No one knew why. No calls were answered. The clients whispered, but no one had proof. Temmie was gone. The salon reopened months later under new management, but people said the mirrors sometimes fogged up without reason. They said they heard whispers while under the dryer. They said no one ever matched the touch of Miss Temmie Duke again. As for Sade, she returned to the market, but people noticed her now. Even women from far places came to her small stand for herbs, advice, or just to sit near her. She never advertised, she never explained, and no one ever knew what really happened in that salon. But the river did. The river always remembers.